Up next on the big room.
They just kind of dropped it in our laps.
And then he automatically is shaven.
Yeah.
He puts it on.
I know.
That,
So sad.
facial hair.
That's
So sad, man.
It's so sad.
He should have just stayed.
Just a little stuff.
Yeah, just the
Has
whole
Superman
time.
ever
God.
had a beard, or is he always clean shaven?
He has a beard occasionally, and it's when he's at his hottest.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to the big room for episode 3 of Superhero Month. 3, right?
3.
Yes.
Episode
Four?
3 of
3.
3.
4.
4.
Numbers are hard.
When did you guys start?
Forgot about Deadpool.
We're only.
So we've got
Deadpool
and
Yeah,
Wolverine.
that's true.
We did The Incredibles. We did Batman and Robin. And now we are going to do Man of Steel, which explains why you're here. So this is
Hello.
Forrest, special guest, our 3rd guest ever.
Oh man.
In my quest to just absorb the Suplex the Sticks podcast.
One day we'll get Seth on here somehow, some
That's
way.
the next guest.
Yeah.
It's got to be Seth.
Now, Forrest is here for a specific reason. It's because he knows about Superman and I don't. But first, we're going to do a rapid fire question round to get to know Forrest for both our sakes and everyone listening.
Yeah.
Now, are you ready for
No.
a 10 question rapid fire round?
All right, now I'm ready.
In 3, 2, go. Popcorn or candy?
Candy.
Best Robin.
Tim Drake or Damian Wayne.
Oh, I knew you would say Tim or Damian somehow. All right, Teen Titans or Young Justice?
Show or comics?
Show.
Young Justice.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Blade Runner 2049 or Dune?
2049.
All right.
Ooh.
All right.
Ooh.
All right. Here's one. Daily Planet or Daily Bugle?
Daily Planet.
Of course. MJ or Gwen Stacy?
MJ.
Correct. DC,
Yes, sir.
Marvel, Image, or Dark Horse? Comics.
Can I say the medium as a whole?
Yeah, I guess.
I guess.
No,
but
I'm
if I
making
had
you pick one.
Okay, DC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling or Ryan Reynolds?
Gosling.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Correct.
Carl, at least I have you.
We're winning.
All right, here's our last two. Last two. Underrated superpower.
Oh man.
Yep.
God. I mean, you really I feel like most people don't comprehend like super durability.
Oh.
You know? Like
Okay.
true. And like this is something that you guys kind of noticed a little bit in The Incredibles. Like it's a separate thing from super strength, but like being able to tank a hit,
Yeah.
that's going to get you out of a lot of tough situations.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
All right, here's the big one. You can adapt one comic storyline to the silver screen. What is it?
Oh my God. Live action or animated? Because that changes me drastically.
When I think silver screen, I think live action, so we'll go with that.
I would say Kingdom Come by Mark Waid and Alex Ross.
What
it's
is
a
that?
DC story.
Okay.
Basically, it was kind of a response to the Image Comics boom in the 90s and like this like kind of edgification of superheroes as a concept.
Was that like Invincible and Spawn? and
No,
them? Or-
Spawn, yes.
Spawn, yes.
Invincible
Invincible's
came
too late.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But responding to stuff like Spawn, literally anything that came out from early Image, Wildcats, anything that Rob Liefeld did that I can't remember the name of at the moment for some god awful reason.
Nick just shook his head at me like I know what he's talking about, but I just did a little bit of research to be able to ask these questions. I also have
I
no
was
idea what
surprised
it
with your follow-up.
All right. So, Superman.
Love that
I
guy.
feel like when the word superhero is mentioned, like a significant portion of the population would picture Superman in their head first. Maybe less so since 2009, since the MCU boom, but especially before that. You say superhero, I would have thought Superman. And because we were doing a superhero month, I felt like we would be remiss to not include Superman in that. And I had no idea what movie to pick. I kind of wanted to do a Christopher Reeve, like early 70s Superman film. So I ultimately ended up just pitching Forrest to come on the show. And he pitched either Man of Steel or Superman Returns, I think because he hates them.
So, it depends on my mood, truly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I picked Man of Steel because Superman Returns is like a spiritual successor to the Reeves trilogy.
Yeah.
That ignores Superman 3 because that's a weird movie with Richard Pryor in it for some reason. So I didn't want to come in on like the end of a trilogy that's not a trilogy. So I figured Man of Steel, why not? I've never seen a DCEU film before.
You're not missing out on much,
I've
as
never
you
seen
probably clearly have found out.
So this movie released widely on June 14th, 2013. Has a runtime of 143 minutes, which is approximately 23 minutes too long. It's directed by Zack Snyder with screenplay by David S. Goyer. I looked him up. He did the screenplay for the Dark Knight trilogy, the Blade trilogy, Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice, and most interestingly to me, Call of Duty Black Ops 1, 2, and Cold War.
Oh, crap.
Interesting.
He did.
I didn't know that
He
part.
did the screenplays for the campaigns. Isn't that fun? The story was by him and Christopher Nolan, which I did not know.
Yeah.
And the budget
That's kinda
was another
surprising.
range.
Weird.
This is like our fourth movie in a row with a budget range, 225 to 258 million. And at the
all
box
superhero
office,
movies, too.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
superhero movies.
Yep.
Interesting.
I wonder if like the CGI
Kind
brings the budget into question,
Yeah.
or like
In
reshoots.
post.
Yeah,
They're super cagey about that stuff.
right. Box office 620.2 million.
Guess it doesn't matter when you're making that much money.
Yeah, so
It's true.
mixed reviews from critics. People were torn on both the story and on Henry Cavill's performance as Superman. I want to
true.
get into that and many, many, many things regarding Superman over the next hour-ish. I have, and I want to touch on a little bit of Superman 2025 in some of that topics. So, again, I know nothing about Superman, really. I know a little bit. When we were kids, my brother and I, we both got, remember the superhero pajamas from the 90s with like the Velcro capes that strangled a bunch of children?
Oh, yeah.
We had those.
No capes.
And here's why, this is literally why Batman's my favorite superhero. I got a Batman one, my brother got a Superman one.
Simple as that.
Man,
sometimes.
it could have been
Simple as
so
that.
different.
It
I
could have
know.
been. And I still, like, I know nothing about Batman at all other than what I've seen in, like, the theatrical releases and I've seen, like, a third of the animated series, but he's still my favorite. I like Batman. This movie, though, my second Snyder film, he did 300.
I didn't realize that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is only my second. Zack
Once
Snyder
you
movie.
realize it, though, it all clicks together. It makes a lot of sense.
Especially in the fight scene at the end with Zod. I'm like, yeah.
Not much slow-mo in this one, though.
Not as much.
I was
Yeah.
noticing that.
Although there's a...
He had a lot of
there's-
restraint.
You know what I hated
Less
about it?
speedos.
I think that's because of Christopher Nolan. To be quite honest with you, brother.
The stylization in the shooting that I hated every time it happened is whenever something was flying, he would do this weird like tracking
Dude,
shot where
yeah.
he would digitally
I
like
loved it.
pan and shake and zoom, and every time it happened, it pulled me out.
Really?
Yeah, because I
It was
know.
like-
Here's why: I know that it's not a camera. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah.
It's all digital, so I know they're faking a camera to make it feel like. But like, who's the point of view there for it to have been shaky? We're just at a
Anyone
point
in the city?
We're at a point in space. So they do it when like
Yeah,
the
that's true, they
pod
do.
that Kal-El's in comes to Earth for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's like zoom, shake, shutter, pan, and I was like, dumb, hated it, but you
Yep.
liked it.
I liked it. I liked it specifically in the city. Like whenever there was a lot of things going on, and then it would pan to like one very specific thing.
That scan's better because you can like imagine a helicopter news crew like
Right. Yeah.
but not in space.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point. But I liked it.
Origin story this was.
That was my favorite part about this movie.
I agree, kind of. I liked the first.
As someone who knew nothing about Superman.
I think I liked the first roughly an hour, and then it did lose me
Yes.
at a point, and I have it written down at the point where it lost me, and we'll get there. I did not expect the cast to be so stacked. Like when Russell Crowe was on my screen, I was like, "Oh,
He's like one of the first things on the screen.
Russell Crowe's on my screen."
You start off on a really strong note.
Now, can I talk about something? I
Go
can.
ahead.
It's my podcast.
Yeah. We can't stop you.
Here's what I want to talk about, and I want to be very careful about bringing this forward because I do not genuinely know if I knew this subliminally, like if it had been brought up to me years ago. But from what I can remember, I'm like not going to say this to be like, "Oh, I figured out another plot point." You know what I mean? Because I've done that
I think
before.
you are.
I can sense it coming on.
On Krypton, we're introduced to like Superman's the first naturally born Kryptonian in a million whatevers. And there's Russell Crowe, Jor-El, if you will, and he's walking around. He's got like some kind of suit on, and he has the freaking Superman ish on his chest. Please don't have a stroke that I called it the Superman S.
You're okay.
We'll get there in a minute. He had the Superman S. And of course, I know from the conversations in the Suplex Discord around Superman 2025 that is it an S, is it not, whatever. But I didn't I just was uncertain, and I was wondering, and I limited that discourse to that upcoming film, I think, in my head. So I was being honest when I wrote this down. What's with the Superman S on Jor-El's chest? Is it going to be a, quote, it's not an S, it's the Kryptonian symbol for hope or some shit? And then what happened 2 hours later?
Yeah. Dang, man.
It's in my world, it means hope. And I wanted to shoot my television.
Why?
Just
What's
'cause
so bad about that?
I just don't. Here's why I don't like it. And please tell me if I'm wrong. My brain goes, are we afraid of the blunt symbolism behind it? And if we are afraid of having Superman's S be an S for Superman, why does Batman get away with having a bat and being Batman and having bat ears and bat wings? And, you know what I mean? Where's that line is kind of where my brain goes. Why are we backpedaling away from it being an S on the chest? Or has it always been that way?
It has not always been that way.
Thank you.
It very much started out as just the S is for Superman.
Why change it?
So
Is it because he's too blue pajamas?
no, I think it really just came around, kind of around the Silver Age of comics, where comic creators just wanted to start kind of mythologizing Krypton a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
We needed to write more.
Yeah.
We wrote enough forward. We went backwards.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can buy that, I guess.
Yeah. With that said, I still don't like it being the symbol for hope on Krypton. That doesn't make any sense to me.
So would you rather it stay in S or change to a different symbol? Would you rather it just stand for Superman or be a symbol for hope and not Superman?
You know what? I don't know what I want. But I think part of what irritated me about my quote unquote prediction was not that I knew it wasn't going to be an S, but that I actually nailed what it was going to be 5 minutes into the movie. Before we even saw the Superman suit, which by the way, we don't see for 90 minutes. Almost. It's an hour-ish.
And then it just appears.
I was so
fully
pissed off at
formed
that.
and
But
ready.
we're jumping ahead a little bit.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
so-
I have different opinions.
I was so pissed off at just the closet automatically opening. Dumb. Hated it. Now,
Tailored and everything.
Yeah. The
so
stupid dodgeball pattern texture.
I didn't really
Sorry, I didn't want to bring us back to it, but I can't help it.
We'll talk about the suit in a minute. I have a section in my notes to talk about the suit. I want to talk about the codex a bit because I don't really understand it. Is it have you played Jedi Out or what was the Cal Kestis game or the
first one was
first one
Fallen
Jedi
Order?
Survivor?
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Thank
Yep.
you. Is it like that? They're looking for the holocron thing that has all the Padawans in it. Is that what the
Yeah,
codex is?
basically.
And then it looked weird. It looked like a missing Link skull at first, and then they inject it into Kal-El, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they don't fully explain it until he's the codex.
Yeah, because you think it's that little key thing that
Wait,
has
it's
that
not?
House of El symbol on it. You don't do this.
It's happening so early.
They explicit. Oh my god.
This might be a record.
Yeah, that was just
I mean, so I was
like the first
confused
20
about
minutes.
it the whole movie, and my research pointed me towards the
it
Codex
was
turned
the
into
key
the thing.
Yeah. No.
So it's kind of a fake out.
It was a misdirection on purpose. So it lost you, and what it did to me was I just went, it's just Superman. That's okay. You know what I mean? I just felt like, oh. I wasn't like, neat, wow, what a twist. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It kind of sucks.
The writing is whatever. I thought it was funny that it was a fossil. Now, here's a parallel that I found for the Superman origin story that I couldn't quite get out of my head. And I kept going, this is Goku's origin. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. It
So-
is exactly the same.
Let me.
Did Akira Toriyama do that on purpose?
Yes, he loves comic books and Superman specifically. With that said, Goku's origin did not get that alien race thing until Dragon Ball Z. So by that time, Dragon Ball had already been being published for a few years by that point. Yeah.
And I mean, I remember, full disclosure, I've not seen a lot of Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z. I've seen quite a bit, but the origin story that is freshest in my brain is the one from Broly, Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Yeah.
Which just rehashes it in like 20 minutes. But I was like, man, it's like the same. It's the same.
Yeah. Akira Toriyama really liked Superman.
And like Goku, I mean, the fan fiction you read when you're 12 in middle school is who would win in a fight, Superman or Goku, because they're the same.
Yeah.
And I just kind of thought that was neat.
Superman still clears, though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The thing with Superman that kind of irritated me is that he always seems to have an answer for everything.
Yeah.
And I feel like that makes him really hard to adapt to cinema. Maybe.
I would agree entirely. I think when you're reading about a character like this, it's a lot easier to kind of just excuse like, oh, this is a conceptual thing of his answer to everything is there's always a way.
Okay,
but
so
when
it's not as cheesy to you in comic, because I would have thought maybe the opposite, because you're like, oh, it's a villain with a new power. Shocker. He has the exact like counterpart to that in his little like it's like in the Adam West Batman's like he's got something on his belt for literally a shark repellent right here. And it kind of felt like Superman's like, oh, there's a second sun. Good thing I have second sun deletion eyes. Like, I don't know.
So that's kind of how the Silver Age of comics were. He was getting a new power literally every issue.
Okay, so that's
crazy stuff.
It's not being overtly mean.
No. But it's not a part of the typical perception and zeitgeist of the character anymore.
Okay.
So it's kind of been out
That
for a
was
few
an
decades
era
at this point.
thing. A few decades.
Yeah.
Does he
Yeah, I
actually
know.
get his powers from the atmosphere being different, or is that just this movie?
It's just this movie, really. It's just
okay.
the fact that Earth's sun is yellow. Kryptonian cells soak up yellow sun radiation and give them superhuman abilities.
Okay.
So on Krypton, it's a
Oh.
red sun, so they don't have that skill set at all. Like
So
they're
he
basically
wouldn't
just like
have-
us.
He wouldn't have had his powers.
He would not be as super on Krypton because they have a red dwarf as a son.
be like Fine Man or something. If he goes to other planets, does he get other powers, or is it just kind of an Earth Krypton thing?
Oh, yeah. Can he like
Ooh.
min-max suns?
Yeah.
He flies out to Beetlejuice and he's like, ah, it's so big.
That'd be awesome. I don't know if that's ever been explored.
That's what I was wondering. I had a lot of questions like that because I was like, in the very beginning, they were fighting. I was like, why is no one using heat vision? And then I was like, oh, okay, just explain later. But it's like, I don't understand anything about Krypton.
Yeah.
Like, do people do anything for fun on that planet? Or is everyone just duty bound from birth? Like,
This iteration.
do kids
and-
fly kites out there? Is it just like, oh, off to work? I'm on the High Council. Like,
So this iteration and the comics that it's specifically pulling from is very much a sterile, boring ass Krypton.
Well, because they kill it in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
How much are
Yeah.
you going to flesh it out?
I mean, it was a
So-
pretty good chunk of the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Answer this. Kryptonite.
Not in this.
What is that, and why is it not in this movie? Because I thought that was the whole Superman thing.
Yeah. So kryptonite is basically Krypton explodes because its core basically gets fucked
they
over and shuts
frack
down.
it.
Yeah, they frack the hell out of it. And it basically the core gets poisoned essentially, blows up. Kryptonite is basically those poison parts of the core of Krypton.
Okay.
Yeah. So when the planet explodes, kryptonite gets sent out across the universe.
Yeah.
I don't know why it's not in this movie.
Interesting.
I mean, not like Superman going up against other Kryptonians that basically have his own powers isn't already like stakes enough, I guess. Like, who else can beat Superman but another Superman? But kryptonite comes into play in the next movie, Batman v Superman.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have Batman versus Superman.
Maybe they're burying the lead there.
They do that with a few things in this movie of kind of like pushing a thing off to the side to be like, oh, it comes up later.
It's odd that they went right from this to an ensemble movie to me.
Yeah, it's a massive mistake.
I feel like I figured that would be the case. So we
Those
have
little
the-
things they got sent off in were like so dildo looking.
So
like-
phallic. Super phallic. Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, how did they get that past them? It's so
I
ridiculous.
don't like a lot of the aesthetic in this movie, especially the suits on Krypton. Not Superman's suit in specific. We will get to that. But a lot of like the villain suits, for example, the more armored ones,
Yeah,
not the
they're
one
just
that's like
gray
it's black,
messes of
the spiky,
shapes.
pointy, and it reminded me of like a toned down version of the Snyder cut Steppenwolf design, where he's
Yeah.
just covered in like gold needles. I only know about that design because they made a big point of redesigning Steppenwolf for the Snyder Cut, because all Zack Snyder does is make a shitty movie and then make a slightly less shitty version of that movie and pat himself on the back. Rebel Moon.
You cannot pay me enough to watch those movies.
I want to do it so bad. I found myself actually like wanting to hate this movie at the beginning because I knew Zack Snyder made it, and I think he's just such a cock. I cannot stand him as like a person. It's because of the Snyder Cut thing.
Yeah,
like it's his whole personality of like, especially with the Rebel Moon is what really pissed me off, because he got full creative control at Netflix. Like the studio's just going, here you go, Mr. Zack Snyder, and he still was like, well, that's not the definitive version. It's like, well, then what are we doing?
You didn't have to cut it down in the first place.
So I've got a real bad taste in my mouth for Zack Snyder. Just
You got it
'cause-
right the first time with 300.
Yeah, I mean 300 is a good movie.
Got that one in one go.
Let's not go too far.
I like 300.
300 sucked.
I like it. So yeah, the design of really everything, I was like, I don't.
Well,
It's over designed and it's drab.
it was a bummer to me too
Some
that
of
all
it
the
felt
like
Dune-ish to me,
Yes, I actually, my first note that I glossed over because we didn't talk about it much is
but
like,
not as well fleshed out or
Yeah,
something.
man, we're really opening this movie with a birth scene on a Dune set.
all the
What, like a decade before that movie came out?
Yeah.
Almost.
oh gosh, all the like Kryptonian suits were CGI too,
Oh, everything. Yeah.
which was a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole masky thing was
Yeah.
on to me too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the design of the
Just didn't
mask.
sit right.
I thought they were okay. Yeah, I'm not super mad about that. Can we talk about? So we leave Krypton after we've looked at Superman's like little baby.
Wait, hold on.
For a minute.
Hold on, I got a picture of this.
Oh, yeah. First of all,
So many baby ween
Yeah.
shots, like more than 5.
I just want to do a quick
A super cut of ween.
quick thing about General Zod, played by Michael Shannon, the best part of this movie. But his introduction is he's talking with a senator. He goes into the freaking council room
Shoots
or
a
whatever.
lady.
Yeah. She says something like super. Hold on, I have a note about this somewhere. There we are. He's basically comes in and says like, I'm gonna fucking take over Krypton. I'm gonna fix it. And she goes, on whose authority? He goes, mine, and shoots her. Zod rules. He's the
Yeah,
best.
it was pretty cool.
Oh, you're not gonna like my note.
Yeah, he's got to figure out something to do with those.
He
bangs.
reminded me of someone, Bam Margera. Just think about it. Think about it for a second.
All right, how much do you know about Bam?
Current Bam Margera. He's got that wide jaw, the facial hair, something about him. Immediately, I was like, "That's Bam Margera," and it lasted the whole movie.
I think the hard part with that comparison is when someone says Bam Margera to me, I think of Viva La Bam era Bam Margera.
yeah.
You know,
No. Current Bam. I'm just saying, put it side by side. It's there. It's there. I promise.
I had a different person.
Who did I say he reminded
every-
me of, Danielle?
Remy Malek.
What?
Is that his name?
Really?
Yeah.
Like an older version of
Yeah.
him.
I could give that.
Is that his name?
How is that not
eyes.
worse than Bam Margera? It looks nothing like him.
How about this comparison?
Yeah, you're
I
drunk.
heard every time he would talk, I heard Lord Farquaad.
Oh, wait.
shit.
Is he the voice of Lord Farquaad?
I don't
No,
think
it's John
so.
Lithgow.
Oh,
John
okay.
Lithgow. My mouth is a circle.
But every time he
You
would
know-
talk, I will find them. It's like all I could think about was him hunting him down in Shrek, like all the different fairy tale creatures.
You know
Like,
who was
oh,
going to
man.
play Zod? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
Which
Oh, I didn't know
That's
that.
insane.
I could not
I
see
don't.
that.
I don't think that would
There was
have
one
worked
more
the
too.
same.
There was one more actor too. I can't remember who it was though.
Oh, it was
Is an actor that normally plays
Viggo
good guys.
Mortensen?
Yes, Viggo
Mortensen?
Mortensen.
Yeah.
Which I can't picture that. I can't.
I can't picture it, but I think it could have been good.
He would have been a
that
much
could've
more
worked.
soft-spoken Zod.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I think Michael Shannon really sells the
Yeah.
oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? Like the intensity of
Yeah.
Zod for this. Like
I
his
didn't-
whole purpose is what the fucking shit that he's doing in
Yeah.
this movie.
I didn't like the goatee until I looked up the comment, and I was like, okay, it's Nick.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
It's
I
a
actually
choice.
deleted my note. I was like, backspace. Can't talk bad about that. So we leave Krypton. This movie takes place in non-linear timeline, which kind of frustrated me a bit because I feel like we jumped forward and back just like 4 too many times.
Yeah. And there's not entirely connections between the jumping forward and backwards.
There's not, especially the last couple times we jump. It's like, dude. But you know, he moonlights on the cast of Deadliest Catch for a bit. on the Debbie Sue, which like then there's an oil rig that's on fire, and we get the most gratuitous ab shot ever when he's holding up that like
It's
thing.
great.
It's pretty awesome.
Okay.
It like the camera specifically pans down to
the
his
abs.
abs.
Yeah.
This is the thing that happens multiple times in this movie, by the way. We'll get to another one later.
Good.
I just wanted to say those are his real abs.
Yeah. Of
Yeah.
They were not
Yep.
CGI'd. He like ate crazy calories and then like built all the muscle and then cut like all
Yeah.
food to get that like cut level because he's like, if I'm gonna do it, they're gonna be mine.
Yeah.
Could you say that he ate
And-
crazy cavalries?
Cavalry.
Oh my god. You can
And he
say that.
refused to shave his chest hair.
Yeah.
Good.
I read
He's like,
that.
nope,
He should
Superman
be-
has chest hair.
Yeah,
I like that for him.
absolutely. It was hot.
I'm excited
Straight
for the
up.
hot points.
Hot points,
yeah.
yeah.
So when
We'll
we
see.
when we go to Smallville, and we're on the farm and we're introduced to his dad the first time, I had a mistake and I kept it in my notes.
Oh my god.
Because boy, did I look at Kevin Costner,
Oh my god, this
Right?
is so funny.
and I went, "Oh, Phoebe has something to say." I looked at, hey, don't bark at Forrest when he's been in the house for an hour. I looked at Kevin Costner and I went, Dennis Quaid.
I thought he
man.
was joking. I thought he was making a joke, and then like 5 minutes later, Cameron's like, "Oh wait, no, that's not Dennis Quaid."
Incorrect.
They have a kind of similar flavor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in the same folder.
Okay.
They're an analog.
I loved the bar scene. Like, so we have this, like, it's not quite a montage, but it kind of is, of Clark Kent.
I would say it's a montage.
Kal-El even. He's not Clark Kent.
He's not Cal. He doesn't know who he is.
That's true. So he is Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Because he's not the kid. But he's jumping around not only the world, but hopping around jobs. Just job. But my favorite one was a scene that I had seen on TikTok, which is the what a youth, which is the bar fight scene.
Oh, yeah.
Which I loved and what I loved about it was the dude like pours the beer on his head or whatever, and he no-sells it. And then
This dude is a whole head shorter than
the
Clark, by the way.
push though. Just I love the immovability. That's when it's like, oh, he's not a person.
Yeah.
And it's that little dude shoves him with his full might and he doesn't move. And it's the best. And then he walks out and his truck's been impaled on 17 telephone poles and he has to run away and have a new identity again. But super cool.
Yeah, pretty petty.
We end up in Canada
early
somehow.
quick thing. Early Superman should be super petty.
Okay.
He sees an injustice and he goes, "That's fuck shit.
Yeah.
I got to do something about it." But in theory, he shouldn't know what to do. He's not perfect. Nobody else
But
is like him.
doesn't
He
he
does
have-
not know the answers.
Doesn't he have Midwestern ideology though? Because he was raised in Smallville by farmers.
Yeah, but what does that actually mean?
I thought it would mean a little more. I thought that's where he would get like his level-headedness and his slowness. But then you do, because you see him as a teenager later in the movie during a flashback when the kid's like he's on his dad's farm and the kid's like trying to get him to fight him.
Yeah.
And the kids leave. The one dude that he's saved from drowning earlier in the movie helps him up, and he takes his hand off the fence post and he's crushed it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's where that kind of conflicts for me, because like, oh, he learned restraint early, because his dad was like, I wanted you to hit him. A part of me wanted you to hit him too, like blah blah blah. So.
And his whole thing has been trying to hide, so that's such an obvious, like, unnatural phenomenon to happen, like the truck.
And you had the
so
weird-
it's like not very subtle.
The weird, not weird. I want to be careful here because I'm not sure if this is what they were going for. But when he's hiding in the closet from his classmates because he's freaking out because he can see through he's got the X-ray vision going on. It was kind of my brain kind of drew an autism parallel, and I'm not sure if that's what they were going for.
Oh.
No, right?
Because he is overstimulated, flees to a closet, and doesn't come out until his mom gives him a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine with
I
that.
don't know.
I just kind of went, I wonder if they're trying to do like a.
I mean, I think you could infer that if you wanted to, but I don't know if it was done on purpose.
Yeah, I don't think it's an intentional thing.
The other thing that I don't know if this was intentional or not is they made a big deal of when Zod came to Earth. They mentioned this several times that Superman had been on Earth for 33 years. And I'm like, are they drawing a Christ parallel there?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh man, dude, there's so much
See,
in
straight up
this
there,
movie, in the next
T-pose.
one.
Because Christ was crucified at 33.
Bro, there's that scene later in the movie where he goes to a church and is like
with a priest.
Yeah.
Zod, I'm the person that Zod wants to surrender. And this entire time that he's doing this talk, there's stained glass Jesus over his shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like
Which not. But character was written by a Jewish man, yes?
Yeah, so Superman, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster were two Jewish kids from Ohio, I think, unfortunately. But yeah, two Jewish
not very
kids,
Sigma of them.
1930s, lots of social injustices around them.
Yeah.
They make this character that is like a perfect like Jewish protector, basically.
Did it kind of were they inventing superheroes as we know them then?
Yes.
Okay.
Superman is the first superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought Phantom was.
No,
I
so
googled it.
Phantom
what it
is
said.
part of the pulp like characters like the Shadow, Doc Savage.
So like
Like they're like the grandfathers of
Yeah.
superheroes, but they're not super
They're
powered.
like the
themselves.
precursors.
Yeah.
That's
The
not what I was
direct.
looking for.
Okay.
Yeah, the direct inspiration. Doc Savage
Gotcha.
specifically is a huge inspiration for.
They were like the proof
Superman.
of concept.
Yes,
before
absolutely.
The actual, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
okay. Well, cool. Okay, glad to know that the I wasn't totally missing something with the
Yeah.
33. When they said it the second time, I was like, this has to be on purpose because that's such a specific number. And a specific number in the Christ lore too. So.
Yeah, and Superman is very intrinsically just Moses. So this movie kind of
Okay.
shifting a lot of that to
Yeah,
be
that's-
more
that's kinda
Christ-like.
why-
It's a little.
That's
like,
kind of why I
to
brought up
me.
the Christ parallel because Christ is not a figure in Judaism.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, real quick before we get to the suit, I want to get to the suit in just a second. I liked the Krypton depleting the natural resources. That was a climate change allegory to me. I liked that. Okay, no, I want to talk about the suit now, and I want to start with Nick. With you liked the suit reveal. We all thought it was dumb. Why'd you like it?
Okay. I like the suit reveal.
So for context for people listening, if you haven't seen the movie, he's got that key thing that we alluded to that you thought was the codex, and he finds basically is this when he's in the pod on the farm?
No, he's on a Kryptonian ship in like the Arctic or something
Arctic.
like
So
that.
he's got
that's been there for 20,000 years.
Yeah, and he's got this key, and he starts the ship up, and then inserted in I assume the key is like Jor-El.
Yeah, hologram,
Like
Dad-El.
it's like it reminded me of Cortana
Yeah,
from
Oh, man.
Halo.
absolutely.
Lost on everyone here. Glad you're on the show.
Yeah. I'm here for your band.
And literally, so he's talking with his dad, literally Jor-El.
He gets this lore dump on Krypton.
Right. We Krypton lore dump, and then during it, just a door opens, and there's the Superman suit. And I think I booed my television.
Okay, see,
It's very underwhelming, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
like,
but I was with you at that point. Like it's felt a little weird, a little out of
But that's
place,
what I
a
didn't
little
like.
convenient that it was there until his dad rips open his armor and you realize that the suit is just made to go under the armor. Like his dad was wearing almost the same thing, right?
why does that hide the crime for you? Because for me, it's like,
Well, it helps make more sense that it was there.
I still don't like it because the suit is Superman.
Yeah.
It's the suit, and it's a shitty suit, but it is Superman. And then for them to just be like, here you go. They just kind of dropped it in our laps.
And then he automatically is shaven.
Yeah.
He puts it on.
I know.
That,
So
that
sad.
bothered me.
Facial hair
That
is
bothered
So
me.
sad, man.
It's so sad.
He should have just stayed.
Just a little stuff.
Yeah, just the
Has
whole
Superman
time.
ever
God.
had a beard, or is he always clean shaven?
He has a beard occasionally, and it's when he's at his hottest.
Absolutely.
Didn't Bizarro have a beard, or did I make that up?
You made that up.
I made that up.
Wait, no. There is a version of him that had a beard.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
He hangs out with Jason Todd. That version.
Let's talk about the suit. I assume you don't like the lack of trunks.
I don't actually care too much about the lack of trunks.
okay.
Yeah, it's not a make or break for me. Superman has this moniker, the Man of Tomorrow. I think the trunks can, if you are too beholden to them, it feels like you are
We mean
being
the
beholden.
red panties.
Yeah.
You are being beholden to a past era and therefore not looking towards tomorrow.
Okay.
With that said, I like them sometimes, especially if they're more like trunk-like instead of brief-like. You know, like there's a big distinction
Oh, you
there.
want little legs like boxer briefs?
Yeah, like just, like a
Danielle, you hate
flat little line
You
there.
hate the idea of the trunks, right?
Yes. No, like you said, the brief
The briefy
style
briefs.
better, but like just like little panty shape.
Yeah, it's
I
weird.
hate it. It's weird. It's not
Yeah.
masculine. I don't like it on wrestlers either.
What was
Yeah.
worse to me was, and this was true on Zodsu as well, penis bulge.
It's massive. It's
huge.
It
Gotta
is
have a
like
penis
it's like they
bulge.
shrunk all or like pulled all the air out from the suit.
But
and
it
just-
sucks because like when you look at
he's
pictures,
Superman.
if you look at pictures of the
super
suit,
indeed.
Fair.
Yeah.
if you look at pictures of the suit like not on a person, it's still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's built in.
They molded a dick.
I've
I mean, if
seen it.
you're going to build a suit,
Oh, you've seen the suit.
I've seen those suits in person at the Warner Brothers Studios in Los Angeles,
Ooh.
California.
Humble
Oh,
brag.
yo,
Humble brag.
nice.
Okay, so one of my questions was, do you prefer the more literal comic interpretation of the Reeve suit?
I still have problems with the Reeve suit.
cloth.
It looks too flat to me.
Too loose.
Not even.
Too
See, I would
pajama-y.
say the Reeve suit is a little too tight.
Okay, so we'll get there.
Yeah,
Go
like
ahead.
I don't know. It's a weird distinction. I think just the Reeve suit looks just too flat to me.
Because
you know?
that's what I struggle with the Superman suit is like if you're going to be true to at least the vision you see in the comic, like when you the stereotypical Superman, I don't know how that could scan in the modern era
Yeah. Like how do you make that
like
work?
it did in Superman.
Has any
Returns,
live
for
action gotten close? Or like,
Yeah, I
example.
mean,
Would Returns be like the closest to the comics we have?
actually no. Brandon Routh had a suit. The CW show did
Oh, I
an
forgot
adaptation of
about those.
Christ on Infinite Earths, and he has a suit that's similar to the Kingdom Come suit. Which that suit I think is perfect. It has the trunks. It has a beautiful logo on it. That look up that one that he had for it, and I would say that is probably the closest we've gotten.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now, what about the Superman 2025 suit?
I like it the more I see it.
I don't love the collar.
That's fair. I don't like the collar either.
So it's got like a collar on the back of the
Oh,
neck that kind of comes up
Yeah.
just a little bit. It does have the trunks.
like the Batman head.
yeah.
Yeah, but that one looked
but
fucking
that one's
awesome.
It's also a parallel to like the detective coat, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that works for Batman. Absolutely.
I think that the set photos I've seen make it look not good, but color grading's going to carry a lot of weight, I assume.
See, I love the set photos I've seen. I did not like the first reveal photo.
The one where he's putting the boot on.
Yeah, so I like the concept, but I just didn't like the look. I definitely think there's a bit of over designing with like just these random lines along
Yeah,
the
there's,
suit.
like,
I'm cool
segmentation.
with segmentation on the torso, but anything outside of that
Because this
is
suit,
a little much.
The Man of Steel suit has some on the like the inside of the ribs. It
Yeah.
has some lines that are gold for some reason.
is Cavill playing?
No.
No.
Okay, the picture I'm seeing has him in it.
No, he was supposed to be in a Superman
I
sequel,
thought he was out.
and James Gunn kind of, from what I understand, threw a wrench in all of it.
Yeah, basically wiped the slate clean.
Which
said, we're
kind of-
starting.
Do we have a new Superman?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who is it?
His name's David Cornsweat.
Never.
He looks okay.
Corn
Cornsweat?
sweat?
Yeah, I may be mispronouncing that, but it's definitely spelled corn.
You know what I
sweat.
like about him? You know what I like about him compared to Cavill? This is my one critique of I mean, we just talked about critiques of the suit, but here's my critique for Cavill specifically. His bottom jaw is too short.
Yes.
It's too
Yeah.
short this way. And this new guy has more of the strong,
He's got a filled out
lower
jaw.
filled out
Yeah.
jaw. I hate to be superficial like that. And I love Henry Cavill. I loved him in The Witcher. I like him as just a person.
Loved him
I
as
just
Wolverine.
I just watched The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Last week. He was
Really?
great in
I haven't
that.
seen that.
I had a good time with it. It's maybe my favorite thing that I've seen him in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the look of the new guy's face.
Yeah.
And-
also,
and
he's
that's-
just so warm to me from what I've seen.
Yeah, and
I
that's
like it.
that's something that works. Like I did the same thing when they announced the Batman, and they announced it was going to be Pattinson, and I just in my brain put a cowl on Pattinson's face and went, "Yep,
It works.
that'll work."
Yep.
And it totally. I was. There were naysayers, and I was like, that's gonna scan, and that's a good movie. I can't believe I waited until like this year to watch it. 'Cause
Great movie.
It's
Dude,
my favorite Batman.
Seeing that in IMAX was a
They're
religious
bringing it back.
experience for me.
Are they?
Yeah, I want to
Nice.
go.
Probably.
I don't know if
Do
it's
it.
an IMAX.
Dude, that opening scene where he's walking out from the subway station,
my
you
God.
hear, at least in the IMAX version, you hear a very distinct cling of cowboy spurs every step he takes. That sold me on IMAX because the decade prior, I was like, I don't really need to see movies that way.
Nice.
That sold me. And Dune also releasing like around the same time sold me on IMAX.
Okay.
Can't go back now.
Let's jump ahead a bit to the dad dying.
Ugh,
Dumb.
fucking stupid.
This is
So
where
stupid.
the movie completely lost me.
yes.
Because I'm like, we're not letting the invincible son rescue the dog that we left in the car. And
But,
also, like,
but Jonathan is so scared.
is he trying
of
to
his son.
hide Is he trying to hide Clark? Is that the
Yes.
Because like
He's so scared.
Clark Kent could go backwards through the backside of the interstate tunnel and then fly, and like it would be fun, or just walk up and be like super
Well,
strong.
he couldn't fly at that point, I guess.
I guess not.
Yeah.
But he could be like walking,
leaping tall
and be super
tornadoes.
strong on the ground, and then they'd just be, oh, the wind must not be that strong yet, as he gets his dad and the dog back. It's such an unnecessary,
Yes.
like they just. It felt like to me like they wanted to just Uncle Ben him for the sake of Uncle
Yes.
Ben. him.
Yeah. So
Does he die in the comic? Like, what's with that?
typically, yes. And the thing with Jonathan Kent's death is that it's supposed to be a lesson to Clark that he can't save everybody, because usually it's a heart attack that does Jonathan in. You cannot fight a heart attack.
Yeah, okay.
It can come on out of nowhere.
That's better than getting tornadoed.
Yeah, it's a perfectly preventable thing that, like, again, like you said, he could have just like pretended a little bit
I
that
think
he
the
was.
worst part about it is when he held his hand up to be like, nah, I'm good getting tornadoed.
And then,
See,
Yeah.
I hated it, but even in that moment, I was like, oh man, like that's a little emotional.
Just such a sucker.
The look.
listen, I'm an
the
emotional
look-
guy. Every time I see
felt
this
the
scene,
same
I'm like,
thing.
yeah.
Really?
What?
I was like, it was a good scene. Like I felt
No,
the
it
heart there,
wasn't.
but I also felt it was totally unnecessary.
Yeah,
I was
for
like,
sure.
he's doing something he thinks is right, but I don't agree with what he's doing.
That moment where he stops and accepts, okay, I'm gonna die to protect my son. That was,
Yeah, I was like,
that pulled
it's
on me a
kinda
little
touching,
bit. Yeah,
But then I was just like, but why'd you do it?
I
It drove me
too love
crazy.
to die unnecessarily to prove a point.
Yeah.
Stupid
To
writing.
prove-
It's lazy, bad.
I think
piss
what got
poor
me was
writing.
everything went quiet, and then he just held his hand out. I was like, that's pretty good. Nice.
Oh, it was
Fuck
dumb.
off.
It's like, but that was dumb.
Fuck off.
I would have preferred if he hobbled back to the interstate and then like a stop sign.
See, you can't stop that.
Yeah.
It's a stop sign.
Dumb.
No, there's this whole like thematic through line with Jonathan in this movie where he's like so afraid of what other people will think of Clark and like how Clark will react to it all. So he stifles him.
Overprotective dad.
Overprotected dad. Like you
relatable.
You maybe should not save people, even though you are perfectly within your power and rights to.
They had that whole thing with the bus.
Yeah,
the
like
bus
that is such a like a oh my god.
I liked that scene, but
Re-
also, I feel about that scene the way they feel about the tornado scene. However, the whole time I was going, why not just laser eye a hole in the bus roof and everybody can swim?
well,
I
not
would say
everyone
that's
can swim.
that's harder to explain. I don't know.
I guess I wasn't thinking of the explanation. I was just thinking of like all your powers and you're gonna push the bus out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he didn't
He may not have had
have a
his heat vision
full.
yet either. Who knows?
Yeah, he didn't have full control of his powers yet. Probably.
He already knew how to do the laser eyes though. He heats the doorknob.
Yeah.
You have to have pretty good
Oh,
control of your
right.
laser eyes to turn them down enough to heat a doorknob.
I mean, that's fair.
That is true.
Finesse.
But we also see him kind of learn how to fly when he's 33.
When he gets the suit, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's just stuff like that through this movie that's like, just like shapes my entire perception of some of these characters. Like, oh, you're just inept
Yeah.
and completely stupid.
However, the most gangster part of the whole movie was the handcuff break.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's being interrogated by the fucking military. Lois is
And he
there
literally
interviewing
tells
him.
Helps him
Lois
feel
Lane right
safe.
beforehand. It helps them feel safe, and then he stands up and just goes, like as easy as I pulled my hands apart there, he pulls them. It's just the best.
Yeah.
Are you gonna ask about the Lois Lane? I want to hear Forrest's opinion on Amy Adams.
Oh
Lois
no,
Lane.
go ahead.
What do you think? She a good Lois Lane? This is the only like exposure I have to Superman. So, but I like Amy Adams.
Yeah.
From what was the movie she was from?
Gilmore Girls.
Enchanted.
Oh, Enchanted rocks.
And several other things that I can't
Arrival.
think of off the top of my head right now.
Arrival.
Oh,
Right.
Arrival also
I
rocks.
haven't seen that.
Oh, that's so good.
Wasn't Arrival her break? No.
No,
No.
she'd been around for
No.
years beforehand.
She's been in a lot more things than you think.
Spielberg. She was in a Spielberg film. That was her break. It was 2006
Fourth
or
kind?
so.
No.
Yes,
Is that it?
I think so. Google it.
Another one.
Yeah, get on
Googling
it.
it.
But Amy Adams is Lois
She
Lane.
was in Hillbilly Elegy.
Not that.
Oh, it's definitely that.
Hide your couches.
Anyways, just had to bring that up.
Yeah.
But was she good? Is she good Lois Lane? Like, what do you want from Lois Lane?
So I think parts of her are good, especially that intro scene of her when she's getting to the Arctic and she's meeting with this general dude. They kind of dick measure for a quick second, and she's like,
Yep.
"Screw that. Let's get to business." Then, if you're not going to basically, if you're not going to give me the time of day and respect me, Lois Lane is a very like straight to the point kind of person. She does not fuck around.
Yeah.
And I think Amy has scenes in this movie where she is written and able to portray that, but for the most part, I just
too
find
soft?
so maybe not even that.
Like, does she not have enough agency?
Yeah, I could say that.
Okay.
I just think the case with a lot of the characters in this movie, though, and I don't know if it's a direction thing or a script thing, but a lot of them just feel like they're missing something. Like they're all very surface level to me, or
Very
that
generic.
Yeah, and that if there is any emotion there, most of the time it's usually like boiling under the surface, but never gets the chance to come out and be expressed or anything. And I think for me, it leads to a lot of the characters just feeling flat.
I was just gonna say the 2002 Amy Adams Spielberg movie was Catch Me If You Can.
That was it.
Yep.
Anyways, it also bothered
good
me
movie.
that they made her run around in giant stiletto heels, which I know is like a hallmark of women in superhero movies or in action movies.
Action
It's
but
not
It
necessary.
just felt egregious.
Give
in
her
this
flats.
one.
Yeah.
The only
Like,
thing
come on.
Lois Lane is a practical lady.
Yeah,
She would
she's
not
a
be running around
She's
in
a
that shit.
reporter. She's
Yeah.
a journalist. She's got business to do.
Yeah.
The only thing that bothered me with her character, though, was completely opposite of what you guys just said. She was so willing when she gets to the Arctic and was like chasing Superman into the whatever. Like she was just so willing to go straight into danger.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, "What are you doing?" Like the
she's
little
straight to the point. She
floating
has-
thing that was like attacking her.
Yeah.
to take a
She,
picture.
She was like, "Oh, this is cool." Like,
She's being a reporter, though.
she has to get the story.
yeah, I mean that's true, but like, you
Why
just
did they
found an
let her on
alien
the base?
spaceship.
Because she's
There's
the star.
no way
She's the
they
star
would let-
reporter of the
Press.
quote unquote best
They wouldn't want that
newspaper
getting out.
in the country.
If I'm on season 6 of the X-Files, they would never let a reporter onto
Man.
the base. They would have that covered up so tight. Like, and then Superman, was he working there or did he just sneak
Yeah,
in?
that was-
because both are equally unlikely.
He's got fake identities, and he's
Okay.
They don't explain it at all.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
he was definitely
he catch
kind
wind
of
of
working
it?
there.
We don't know. That's because
Okay.
There's no answer.
Plot armor.
The movie's got a lot of convenience,
Bad
a lot
movie.
of
builds so
a
much
lot of
convenience.
exposition, like a lot of, just
But
like,
not
man.
explaining like the things that maybe would connect a
Yeah.
few things together. No.
So when
man.
you are looking at like Lois Lane and the Daily Planet, does that make you feel negatively about MJ and the Daily Bugle? Like, do you view like that whole part of the Spider-Man story as like a ripoff of Superman, essentially?
No, MJ also doesn't really have anything to do with the.
No, she
Bugle.
doesn't. I mean more
No.
like Planet to Bugle, like the whole
Oh.
newspaper storyline. And I mean, Toby, Jesus Christ, Peter Parker,
Toby Parker.
like it's almost like they split
Some
Lois
aspect.
Lane in half for Spider-Man, and we're like Mary Jane, Peter Parker, and then the Bugle versus the Planet. Like, do you go like,
Even
you're
the costumes
borrowing,
are the same
or-
color
No,
schemes.
because I think it all has to do with the context of why each of the characters is there. Clark and like Lois are at the Daily Planet because they want to tell the truth. They want to get these stories. Help. She's
Dog's just flipping a
that
bit over
pillow. Yeah. And they want to get the truth out and help people through their journalism, whereas Peter works at the Bugle because he needs to make ends meet.
That's true. So it is quite different.
Usually by the time he starts working there, it's only him and Aunt May, and May doesn't really have much income, so he has to help make ends meet. He's doing it as a kid, just trying to do his best for his family.
All right, I buy it.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a scene that kind of it didn't bug me. It was notable to me, and it's when Zod is on Earth. I'm kind of jumping ahead. Do you have something to bring up before I jump that?
No. I think I have something with this. Go ahead.
So Zod's on Earth, and he's trying to do the whole "join me and together we can rule the galaxy" as father and son speech, pitching, basically turning Earth into a new Krypton. And the way that he pitches it, as a super Hitler, to make Superman stand in a sea of dead people skulls. Not a good pitch.
Not a good pitch, but a hard picture.
Yeah, but like, hello? Get General Zod a marketing course is all I'm saying. I was like, dude, who are you trying to...
There had to have been some Kryptonians that were specifically bred for marketing, right?
Yeah, we're doing the whole... Right. Well, I mean, to that point, Zod's just going, eugenics, right? Right.
Well, yeah, that.
And Superman's like, No.
So yeah, there's this contradiction I find with Zod in this movie where he's like, we have to end the degenerate bloodlines of Krypton that, you know, got them to
Hitler.
that point of
Hitler.
the House of Hitler. Yeah.
House of Hitler.
But like, you know, all like the politicians and stuff that mined Krypton's resources, but he doesn't get the full picture of it. He's like, we have to end those bloodlines, but still maintain the system of eugenics and
So
keeping the
strange.
caste systems and all that jazz.
He's like pissed off when he learns that Kal-El was born naturally. He's
Yeah.
like, what? Lame. I
like,
want to
"That
do more
sucks."
eugenics.
He's probably pissed because Jor-El, the chief scientist, kicked his ass
I didn't
physically
even
and
scan
his
that he was a
soldiers.
scientist.
Yeah, he's the head scientist of Krypton.
Oh.
And he was kicking Zod's soldiers' asses and Zod in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, he did.
Who were supposed
he
to
went
be
toe-to-toe with Zod.
Yeah,
Like,
which
beat him, basically.
yeah. So it's not even consistent with itself.
I freaking... There was a point where... I think it's when Superman turns himself in, and we have that whole scene, and then later there's a... I think Jor-El says you can save her, Cal, to someone or something. I don't have the exact context, but Superman leaves the ship in a Christ pose. He's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude,
For like 5 seconds.
yeah, on the nose.
Just holds the pose.
A lot of the I don't think the fight scenes were done well. I don't think any of them were done well because during all of them, I was like, I'm ready for this to wrap up. I was bored.
They all felt very long.
There was one moment when they're in Smallville doing the fight in like the city, and they show us the Smallville sign, and you're like, haha. And a lady gets hit with a train. That was cool because I was like, ha, she got choo-chooed. And that was and then there's another gratuitous shot when they're in the city with the Luther Incorporated fuel truck or whatever that happens.
Oh, yeah.
And it explodes like 15,000 times
Yeah.
behind Superman. And
The
he's just
explosions
standing
in
there
this
like-
movie are comedic.
yeah, and it's like
Almost as good as
first of all-
Roadhouse.
First of all, he's not going
God.
to stop that truck from hitting the building and blowing up the building that presumably could have a bunch of people that now just got 9/11
Yeah.
because Superman
He-
just flew in between it instead. And second of all, we're going to just go explosion, just for fun. I
Yeah.
get that that's the
A lot
300
of collateral damage.
yeah, I felt
so
like
much collateral
Superman
damage.
accidentally killed a lot of people. in
Yes.
this movie.
Yeah.
And then cries about it there at the end with that one family.
That comes into play in the next movie.
Okay.
Ooh.
What did you have?
I was
made a
just gonna
face.
say, do you guys ever like feel bad when you see cities get destroyed, like in TV and movies? Like,
Yes.
Whenever cities are getting destroyed, I'm just like, that's just think about all the money and the people.
Oh, yeah.
And like, how do they?
I'm glad you said the people part. I was about to be like, Danielle, what the hell?
Just all of it.
The money?
Their jobs, the infrastructure,
Their lives, their
gone.
pets.
How do you rebuild? I don't know.
I mean, there was the one scene with the reporter lady who's in the Rebel, and she's like, "Don't leave me" or whatever.
Yeah, and Perry and Steve Lombard
Yeah,
are like,
and-
we got you, and the
Like
world
that
engine
whole-
is
what I couldn't
beaming
help
down.
but draw. My brain I cannot help it, and it's because of the generation I am. But I was just like, this is 9/11. It reminds me of 9/11.
I was
Yes.
about to say.
They,
So I
they
get-
play into that
I-
for Batman v
I get
Superman.
and what I was thinking they were gonna do is like they would lift rubble up, and then she would be impaled by rebar, but not she's full of adrenaline. And I'm like, if they do
I'm
that, I'm gonna be
shocked
so
that they
pissed
did
off
it.
at this movie.
I'm shocked that they didn't. That sounds like a Zack Snyder thing to do,
Right?
or a David Goyer thing to do.
so
Yeah, I literally had the thought watching the movie. This is so much worse than 9/11. That scene.
Do you think this world got a like spiritual successor to MCR out of this? Because MCR exists because Gerard Way witnessed 9/11.
Really?
My Chemical
Yeah.
Romance.
Yeah.
is 9/11.
That scene where they're trying to get her unstuck. They like whatever the pulse thing is getting closer and closer.
Yeah, they're
And
terrifying.
they're like making eye contact. Do you think he's about to just run away?
I think
Because that's how I took it.
I think Steve Lombard was about to run away.
Yeah. Wait, that's
That's the white guy, not
Lawrence
Lawrence
Fishburne.
Fishburne.
Lawrence
Not
Fishburne
Morpheus.
dude crushed it in this movie. I
Yeah.
thought his
Yeah, he did.
performance was
Always.
great.
him and his little earring.
Yeah, he's the best.
Serves.
Can I talk about some stupid dialogue?
Absolutely. There's so much. We could be here for an hour.
I either
because of
need to
it.
be talked off a ledge for one of them. The other one I just know is completely ridiculous. There's actually three lines, three portions. So in the release the world engine scene, so Zod is actually releasing the terraforming machines, one on each side of the planet that are doing the smashy smash. Dr. Emil Hamilton explains terraforming to Captain Carey Ferris. You're not supposed to know these people's names. I just looked them up.
They do mention Emil Hamilton during the
He's just the
Raised,
the old
break scene.
Great, yeah. So, and then Lieutenant General Calvin Swanwick, he shows up a couple times. He's the black general, not the one that ends up like kamikazing himself into the
Not
thing.
the guy from NCIS.
Yeah, he's the one in the base.
Is it NCIS?
Yes, I think so.
I think so.
Swanwick says they're turning the Earth into Krypton. How'd that bitch know about Krypton? Did I miss a scene where Superman briefs the whole army on his entire origin story? Because I just went, that's insulting. Because we're not supposed to know that. How do we know that he knows about Krypton?
Yeah.
We're just name dropping Krypton. They're turning Earth into Krypton. Was he present for Zod's whole monologue? Are there hidden microphone? Do they have Superman bugged? I was really irritated by that line because it presumes a lot of information for that character.
Yeah.
And I hated it. There's another line. This pissed me off. I actually can't decide if I'm angrier about the suit reveal or about this line. So Swanwick again. Someone mentions something Superman. And Swanwick goes, Superman? And the Northcom threat analyst goes, the aliens, sir. That's what they're calling him. They?
Yep.
You're in a bunker the whole time. As far as we know, they're not going to Subway talking about like they.
That one.
Unless if they're like checking news articles or some shit. But at this point, there's, to all we know, only one article published about Superman, and I don't think it name drops.
Have
him.
they-
It's one that Lois writes.
It's the first time, by
and
the way, in the
leaks
movie
to somebody
that
else.
we fully hear the name Superman. Because
Right.
Lois Lane like half pitches it and she gets out and that's it.
Have they talked to Lois though? At that point, because
Yeah, because this was after
my
the
assumption is
interrogation.
she's the one that
scene.
started it.
But we're not going to name drop Lois Lane. The one person in the movie
Who
that everyone on planet Earth knows the name of because Zod name dropped her when he broadcast to every device on the planet. But that's what they're calling him. The alien, sir.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling him.
Also, Lois is typically the one who gives Superman that name. So like,
But
so,
why cut
it's
her
just such a
short?
why cut
Rug-
all the women in this movie
they
short?
rug pull that moment and then just go, that's what they're calling it. It reminded me of that Harmontown part, Carl, when they're Toby Keith's Bar and Grill. They just pick at it. They? It's crazy to just have it. They. It's what they're calling it. Pissed me off. I'm sweating.
Yeah, man. Dude, women in this movie get so shortchanged. Laura, Superman's or Kal-El's mom, just gets nothing. Basically, Lois gets shafted on a super important kind of thing like this. Martha doesn't have much going for her because it's all about fathers, really, in
We have
this movie.
huge moments in other comic book origin stories. We have Spider-Man homemaking his suit in the first Raimi film.
Love that scene.
You know what I mean? And then he ends up making the real suit. We have him workshopping his name, Spider-Man. We have Iron Man making several iterations of the Iron Man suit in the first movie and the I Am Iron Man
Building
scene
a
at the
suit
very
in a
end.
cave.
Like, and then in this movie, we have the suit in a magical closet.
With scraps.
And then we have they're calling him that. We never have any, like the two moments you want from a superhero movie, which are the suit reveal and the name, we don't get. They're just dropped in our laps and we're supposed to just deal with that. I want to fight Zack Snyder with my hands.
Yeah, it's reverence for the opposite side of the coin of what
Awful.
a Superman thing
Everybody
should be.
that wrote and made this movie needs to be in Guantanamo Bay. I hate it.
Wow.
I hated it. And you know what? I didn't really realize that I disliked it this much until we were sitting here talking about it.
I was about to say, you seemed fine last night.
I was kind of fun. Well, I was, again, the first 45 minutes to an hour until the tornado scene, I was like, this is an okay origin story. It's a bit slow. I want to see Superman in the suit a little earlier. But then again, Iron Man was a slow burn.
Yeah.
But the other origin story, Captain America is Captain America pretty quick.
Oh,
That's a
Cap 1 is a great movie.
great
It's one
movie.
of my favorites.
The other line that really pissed me off was they say it's all downhill after the first kiss. I think that only
my
counts if
God.
you're kissing a human.
God.
Fucking dumb. Shut up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who wrote this?
David
I know
Goyer.
who wrote it.
Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan and David
This
Goyer.
guy wrote The Dark Knight.
And then he was like, I'm done.
Where is it? Where's the trigger?
I mean, that's true. And I have my biggest problem with The Dark Knight is that the Batman sucks and the voice is awful.
Yep.
And that trilogy, everybody only really likes it because the Joker performance was so incredible. And actually, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is quite good
He's
as well.
great. I prefer Begins over Dark Knight.
Ooh, I'm the opposite. But the thing that I don't like about Cillian Murphy is they don't give him the full guard.
That's fair.
He just has the mask. I don't
yeah.
like that. And so at this point in the film, I wrote down, I'm fatigued before the 2-hour mark. This shit is too long. 2 hours and 20 minutes. Once again, it's too freaking long.
What would you have cut? Did you play that game?
Here's what I would have cut. I would have done less flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you kill the dad with a heart attack, you can
You can make that super
Make
quick.
that super quick. You don't need the whole tornado scene. I don't know
The
if
scene where I might add the first part of that scene is him going, "You're not my real dad."
Yeah.
crazy. I don't know. I would have cut the fights too.
I was going to say
that
that if you make the fight shorter,
especially
that goes
especially the Zod fight at the end. When I'm way too
Oh,
long, it was just a
so
CGI
excessive.
circle
So-
jerk.
Yeah,
I hated it.
They could have combined the flashbacks with her journalistic thing, and that could have just been one
Or
thing.
we could
one
have
kind of narrative
beautiful,
exposition.
Carl.
we
Yeah.
could have been in Krypton at less time because we're already going to bring back Jor-El in a million different flashbacks in
Yeah.
Cortana form. We don't need to spend 30 minutes in Krypton if we're going to do that. But we do need to introduce Zod, so I don't know quite how you do that. I don't know how to fix this movie. Neither does Snyder because there's no Snyder cut.
He said, "This is perfect."
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have another line.
Oh no.
What are you smiling about, Captain? Nothing, sir. I just think he's kind of hot. Dumb.
Does Superman work if he's not hot?
I don't know.
If he's just a plain Jane saving the world, do we
No.
give a shit?
Man, not to sound vain here, but I like my Superman sexy, you know?
Yeah,
He's a Superman.
Yeah, you're not going to
Yeah.
put Steve Buscemi in the Superman. Like,
Wow. Didn't have to
Nah, you should.
shit on Steve.
I would like
Wow.
to see it.
So
What's
the
up, fellow supers?
Oh,
What?
my God.
So
They don't have a
is-
cure for people like me.
Is Superman supposed to have hesitancy towards killing people? Because like the amount of
I had that
remorse
question, too.
about snapping Zod's neck, which took way too long, and also you're so strong, just turn him. He's trying to laser eye a family. Just
Or
turn,
like suplex him or something.
yeah,
I
turn
don't
him.
fucking know.
I watch
Well, he's
wrestling.
also
Hand
strong
in front of
too.
his eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I watch wrestling. He was fully in control of that man's
yeah,
body.
dude,
Just turn him.
absolutely.
sure.
A simple rotation could have been, and then play yakety sax while he just Zod's eyes get closer.
Or
God.
could Superman just stand in the way of the beam and not get affected by it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Probably.
Maybe not get affected by it. It still has a lot
Well, it
of
wouldn't kill
percussive
him.
force.
Could have done a force lightning like push pull with both beams like
Yeah.
hitting each other.
Oh,
Yeah,
Flown
that
up.
would've
I
been
want
sick.
that.
Could have just flown
float
up.
up.
Could have flown
Yeah.
him.
Lot
And
of
then
ways-
done like a super suplex. God. I just want suplexes in my superhero movies.
I don't know. I just the snapping of the neck on a level like half of me liked it and half of me was like, well, that's certainly an ending.
Yeah. So I'm okay with it. Superman typically does have a severe reverence for life. He does not want to kill. He tries to avoid it as many times as possible. With that said, Superman has killed Zod, I think, more in like mainline continuity out of like any other character ever.
Really?
Yeah, like he has like exposed Zod to like kryptonite before and just murked them. And it became like a plot point like he hated doing that.
Okay.
Like, you know, it does eat him up to have to take a life.
I see.
But it is not something that he says is completely off limits. With that said, I also do prefer the idea of like he will always try to find another way.
Yeah.
And if that way doesn't work, he'll try another.
Okay. That leads me nicely into my discussion questions, which are mostly questions for Forrest about Superman in this movie and in general. And one of them is actually, as a casual, I know Superman's arch nemesis to be Lex Luthor. Is that incorrect?
That's correct.
And am I wrong to be disappointed in his absence in this movie? I was sitting the whole time kind of waiting for Lex Luthor. I now know, after I wrote that question, I did more research for the show. I know now that he's in the second movie
Yeah.
as Jesse Eisenberg, which is a choice.
Oh.
And he's not bald, which is another choice.
He is eventually, but it doesn't look great, and his performance is not great.
Yeah, you don't cast a character like that or an actor like that as Lex Luthor. It's
Yeah.
insane to me. But yeah, so
So yeah, Lex is absolutely Superman's arch nemesis.
how quick though? Like, is Zod truly the first villain he should have fought?
So it depends. Sometimes Lex is a childhood friend of Clark's in Smallville.
Oh, that's fun.
Interesting.
Yeah,
like that.
and there's a specific story where Clark is the one who accidentally causes a lab accident that makes Lex go bald because he used to have like hair kind of like yours.
Okay.
Like long flowing reddish
you.
hair. And then a lab accident happens and chemical burns it all off.
Dang.
And he hates Clark because of it. Or I guess
That's kinda
Superboy doesn't know that it's Clark at the time. But then usually, like in a good Superman origin story, specifically one where he is coming to Metropolis for the first time, Lex Luthor is everything wrong with, like,
He's the Shadow Superman cast?
yes.
Or, okay.
Yeah. Like he's like the anti-Superman basically in all ways, from his mindset to how he treats other people, to the work that he does, all that jazz.
Okay. I have another question. What elements of Superman did this movie miss? I wrote, as for me, as someone largely ignorant of Superman, isn't some of his appeal that he will do what Mr. Incredible does at the beginning of The Incredibles and get a cat out of a tree for an old lady at noon and then defeat a world-ending villain at 2?
Yeah, absolutely. He doesn't,
Because that's missing from this movie.
yeah, there's
And
a
I think that might be a consequence of the Nolan Goya partnership, because like Batman is missing almost all of the detective aspects in the Dark Knight trilogy, and is that kind of down to earth, overtly nice appeals to the old lady
and warm, approachable.
Why is that missing? What else is missing from Superman as a character in this movie?
Yeah, so the big thing is just his approachable aspect. Like, Mr. Incredible is a perfect parallel for this. The opening of that movie, like, there is no problem too big or small for Superman. He will make the time. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter how long it takes, he'll get it done, and then he'll go save the world in between, you know? That is... I would say a lot of that is missing from this movie. There are some like hints here and there, especially during kind of that montage scene at the beginning where he saves the oil rig workers. He impales the fucking
I kind of think so
truck on
at the
pole.
end too, when he takes down the surveillance drone and there's that whole conversation with
Yeah.
like, I was like, why? Where is this part of Superman?
Yeah.
The whole like, hey, I want to help, but can you not with this?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
And
that-
even the scene
he was
where
missing humanity. to
Yes.
me.
And that scene where he flies for the first time too, he is elated. He just learned about his heritage that he's
Yeah.
kind of been questioning his 33 years of his life up until that point. He knows who his like birth mother and father are. He has this traditional garb of his people. He is elated. He's learning how to fly. He is hooting and hollering and having a blast, even when he crashes into a mountain and gets kind of somber again. He's like, oh
Yeah.
and then he's back to hooting and hollering because he's having a blast. That he now has a fuller picture of who he is and like his place in the world and all that jazz. But then like that isn't present through the rest of his
the movie.
portrayal. Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, what did the movie do correctly? What are the what of the Superman character did the movie nail, if anything? He's got an S on his chest. The suit's blue.
Yeah. God, man, I really don't know because I think everything
He
this
didn't
movie
even have the curl.
no.
Like that's easy.
His hair when he is Clark is more in line with what I would give for Superman than
as Superman.
as Superman. It's like they just completely like flipped that. But like that's not like a
Is it just an
problem.
L portrayal?
I would say mostly, yeah, because there's like these hints of like potential in it, but it never reaches it.
In that, why is Superman then so hard to get right on the silver screen?
I don't think he is. I think
you think that the people just suck.
Yes, because even before the Christopher Reeve and Richard Donner movies, there were they weren't
show,
big
like,
screen, but yeah, there was a show
it, 60s?
with 60s or 50s or something like
50s
that
or
with
60s?
George Reeves as Superman.
They did like literal animation for some of the powers, like Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah, and like
great.
everyone that I have seen ever talk about like watching that show loved it. They're like, that is what got me into Superman. There were also the Fleischer cartoons that were theatrical shorts that played before other movies in the theaters.
How is the animated series that followed the Batman animated series?
Superman the animated series?
Yeah.
I like it a lot, but
Changed
also
the animation style for that generation. The new Batman animated series went to the Superman style. After that. So is that a decent show?
it's decent. I don't think it's great.
Okay.
I would say the current My Adventures with Superman show is much more enjoyable and more like it gives you a better idea of the character.
What about Superman in the Cartoon Network Justice League show? Because I
Great.
find him very kind of almost one-dimensional.
Okay, so yeah, that's the problem you get in with team
Yeah, true.
rosters in general. You just do not have the time to dedicate to everyone like every character in it constantly. I think he has moments of greatness in that overall like make me think that it's great. But there are some episodes where he may not even have like 3 lines.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And that's just the nature of the beast.
All right, 2 more questions. What do you want or expect out of Superman 2025, the new film?
Warmth.
Okay.
I want my Superman to be approachable, and everything that I've seen from those set photos.
It looks, there's a cat in one. Like, he's going to rescue a cat.
Yeah, and he's like holding a bunch of kids on his arms. He's got his arms outstretched like this, and they're like hanging off of him. Like, and he's having a blast. They're having a blast.
That's what we get out of a gun DCU, because the DCEU was so cold, dark, from what I understand.
Yeah.
So is 2025 like a fresh start?
Yep.
Yep. Brand new.
It's gonna be a kick to a new DCU, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna hard reset.
I like that.
Which scares me, because the Batman's kind of in a limbo area.
Oh no, it's not. It's its own separate thing, but it is still going to continue.
Okay, good.
Like you don't have to worry about that
Because they keep talking about recasting Batman for the DCU, and I'm like, cool. Give me more of the Batman, though. I want more Battinson, please.
You'll get it.
And they're doing the Penguin show, which is soon, which is probably why Battinson's coming back to theaters. I will go watch that, because that movie is so good.
It rips.
All right, last question. If I want to give Superman a real honest-to-God shot, what should I have watched?
Well, yeah.
I shouldn't have watched anything. I should have probably read something. But what should I have
I was about
watched?
to say, watched absolutely the first Christopher Reeve movie.
Okay.
That just kind of nails it for the
just
most
called
part.
Superman, right?
Yeah, Superman the movie.
I kind of pitched that for the show, and he was like, but it'd be funner to shit on them.
Yeah.
It's a better show if we
Yeah.
did. So, okay. So watch the Christopher Reeve Superman movies.
Yeah, and then really just check out the current My Adventures with Superman cartoon. If you have to watch things.
I want to watch the Caped Crusader.
Oh, it's pretty good. I think.
Is it a spiritual successor to the animated series?
Yeah. I mean, Bruce Timm's doing it. They've got a lot of like heavy hitter comic creator
Put
names
that
on it, like
in
Ed
my
Brubaker.
veins.
God, the guy who does the Batman, Matt Reeves. He's
involved?
Yeah, he's involved on it. Like,
okay.
yeah, you'll like it.
I gotta finish the animated series, and then I want to kind of skip to the sequel show to that, and then get through Batman Beyond.
Oh, Beyond rocks.
And then, so I've got.
Oh, yeah.
I need to get back on my horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And kind of get through all that. Okay, what time are
Do
we
we
at?
have time for more questions?
1:10. We do a couple more.
Okay. I was going to say, is there a version of Superman that was found by a family that like doesn't have the same moral grounding?
Yeah.
Kind of raise them evilly.
Like a rough family.
Yeah.
Superman?
Yeah, so that's actually usually the impetus behind a lot of like drastically different versions of Superman. You've got the Earth 3 version of Superman called Ultraman. He is just a complete bastard. His parents were complete shit. Like literally everything that the Kents did, do the opposite of that, and that's how Ultraman was raised. There was one done by Bruce Timm, who did the animated series for like Batman, Superman, Justice League, all that jazz, called Gods and Monsters, where it's actually like Zod, or maybe like Zod's son or something like that, is the one who gets sent to Earth and lands, I believe he lands in like Mexico or something like that, and he's raised by an immigrant family, I believe. It's either they're immigrants or they are from and stay in Mexico.
Yeah.
So he's a drastically different take, but in a more interesting, and I would say more like a better, like good faith way of writing. Not just anyone who's not the Kents fucking sucks at raising a Superman. Like, no, that's not it.
So the only Superman media I've seen outside of this movie was the 2007 animated film Superman Doomsday, which goes off of the Death of Superman comics.
Yeah.
Was that good?
It was fine.
I remember like that was a weird one to jump into, because we're introduced to like it's Lex Luthor, but then there's Doomsday, and then like Superman's dead, but then there's a clone, and then the clone's like not quite evil, but then Superman comes back. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I was at a friend's house, and his dad was actually reading the Death of Superman comic line, finished it, and we're watching the Superman Doomsday tonight, and we watched it, and I was just like, I'm really jumping into chapter 12 of a book right now.
Straight up,
Crazy.
straight up, man. I mean that adaptation of Death was fine, but there is a better one that came out a few years ago.
2018.
Yes,
Called
that
The Death
movie.
of Superman, I believe.
Yes, that movie made me cry.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like my friend has. We were watching it in a Discord call together, and he has a series of screenshots of me just like sobbing at my computer, like wiping my
It
eyes.
didn't really strike me as emotional in the
For Doomsday.
2007 version.
Yeah,
Doomsday. Any other questions really quick before we move on?
Why does he hate magic?
What?
It can hurt him the same way that it can hurt anything else. Like he has no immunity to it, but he's not like weak to it like kryptonite. But like it, like if he gets cut with a magic thing, it's gonna be like if we got cut with a knife, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So how far does that go? Magic. Like, you know, if someone does a card trick, can he not like X-ray vision through the deck?
No, he can't X-ray through lead, but that's about it. Not even
And
about
if
that.
you're trying
is
to trick
it.
Superman, lead cards.
Yep.
All
That's the
right.
way.
Well, that's kind of, we've talked for 100 million years. Danielle, you have any questions before we skedaddle?
No.
Let's do hit me or miss. And then we'll, Oh, do you have hot points? We don't have
Yes.
hot point music. Let's do hot points
We don't
really
have
quick.
hot
We'll
point
just
music.
pretend on the music
Sad.
this week.
Can everybody start humming it? That would be great.
Nope. Don't do that.
I didn't practice for
Don't
this.
do it.
Just kidding.
I can sight sing, I guess.
Oh, it's so fancy over here.
It's been a few years
Sight
since
singing.
my music ed degree.
So what I really had to try to do was separate Henry Cavill from Superman. Because Henry Cavill is on my Mount Rushmore of hot British men.
Yes, man.
So,
Who else is on that list? You need 4 because that's how Mount Rushmore
I feel like
works.
one rotates. So obviously like Tom Hiddleston, Tom Holland, Henry Cavill, and then the fourth one kind of rotates. I had a real like Ewan McGregor moment a couple years
I
ago.
love Ewan McGregor though.
Is he? I thought he was Scottish, not British.
Well,
He is.
okay.
He's Scottish.
British,
Oh,
British
don't call him
Isles.
British then.
Yeah.
British Isles.
He'll
right?
hate that.
Scotland forever.
UK.
Yeah. But Scottish independence has been a whole thing for hundreds of
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
They don't
Okay.
like being grouped in with the British Isles.
Well, whatever.
Sorry.
Rightfully so.
Sorry, Ewan.
Why don't you know that?
Come at me, Scotland.
Oh God.
They're probably not.
William Wallace kicks my door down.
I'm trying to think. There was a guy in another show called Edward Blumel. Went through a big phase on him, but I can't think of any other ones right now because my face is getting hot and I feel bad because you corrected me on Scotland.
No, it's fine.
Anyways,
what about Matthew
Superman.
Good?
Oh yeah, him.
Oh, yeah.
He's great.
Matthew
Matthew
Good's
Good. Dan Stevens is there, but I'll never forgive him for leaving Downton Abbey, so he's dead to me.
Oh, I love Dan Stevens.
He's dead.
I love him, but
He's dead in Downton Abbey too.
yeah, he's the worst. He's like,
Spoilers.
I'm gonna go do Beauty and the Beast.
All right. Hot points though.
Hot points. Anyways. So obviously we got a +1 for Bearded Cal because like we already established Bearded Superman is the hottest Superman.
Absolutely.
Obviously. So then we got another +1. I mean, the abs, the rippling muscles.
Oh my God.
It was a gratuitous shot. We didn't need it, but they're there and
was
they're
great.
hot.
And they're real.
And they're real. He put in that work.
Oh, quick thing on gratuitous shots. I meant to bring this up earlier. There's a scene during one of the big Smallville fights where Feora, Zod's right-hand lady, picks up Martha Kent and like grabs her by the scruff and raises her
Yes.
up. And then the camera pans down to Martha's feet.
Yeah.
I guess it's to show that she's off the
the
ground, but
ground.
you already see that because Feora does this.
Right,
But it's like, what did you mean by
You know what
this?
that reminded me of? The same exact thing happens in the original Star Wars movie when Darth Vader has the
Oh,
Tantive
yeah.
4 captain up and the dude's actually standing on a box. So they had to do the cut where they show his feet dangling off the ground and then they
Nice.
cut right back. So it reminded me of Star Wars because we had to mention Star Wars.
You gotta
right.
mention Star Wars in every episode.
So +1 for abs, another +1 for
His beard.
His beard.
We got a -1 for that line we've already mentioned again. I think that only counts if you're kissing a human.
Dumb.
Give
That's
me,
fair.
Fair.
Giving
I would say
me
even
the
maybe
ick.
-2 for that.
Barf.
I mean, I don't want to be too harsh, but like, yeah, not hot. Boo. But we regain a +1 for, I like his little glasses Clark Kent moment. He's a little cutie with his little
Kinda
glasses.
sad
should
we
have
didn't-
rated-
We didn't get that till the end.
I know.
Very end.
Dude, I could have watched a whole movie of that. I
know.
With that said, his
I
portray-
would watch that.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
What we wanted then was a sequel to this movie that we didn't get.
Yes. Also, his portrayal of Clark at the end, he's still talking like down here. He says, "Hey, Lois."
Okay, so you want him to be more like when Goku's not fighting anyone and his voice is high pitched, and then when he charges,
not
up,
even
he
just
goes
super
down a
high
bit.
pitched, but just softer. You know, like it certainly raise it just a
Goku's
tiny bit, but it
almost
doesn't need
childish.
to. Yeah, it doesn't need to be like excessive, but just
talking-
like, hey,
Yeah,
you know,
I'm
as
talking
opposed to,
dub
hello.
dub Goku. by
Yeah,
the way.
yeah, of course.
I don't.
I can't stand the
I don't
Japanese.
I can't either.
Yes.
Thank you,
Yeah.
God. Go ahead.
That was it.
That's a hot take, though.
Lo siento.
So what are we in?
That leaves us at a 7, which
That's
feels
low.
low, and I feel bad. But Superman as a character to me isn't that hot.
Okay. Off the top of your head, without running through the points, what would you give Witcher or Henry Cavill?
Oh, I mean,
10.
10.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. Did
I
that,
was-
that
I
show.
was
I didn't.
You
before-
see a lot of him in that show.
What?
You see a lot of him.
Yeah, you do actually.
And what you? Never mind.
Henry Cavill, he just looks better with a little grime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
beat
too
up,
clean. He's too clean
silver
than
hair,
Superman.
cat eyes.
Look into your soul.
Does he have the cat eyes in the show?
I think
think so, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
he does. I feel like they were more prevalent in one season versus the other, and I don't remember
He's
which
supposed to have
one.
literal cat eyes, and that's one of the ways that Witchers have prejudice against them in the world is that their eyes are yellow and look like cat eyes. Crazy. Okay, hit or miss time. This could be
Ooh.
difficult.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't actually know
I-
either. Nick,
I'll start. In this, I'll preface by saying this is my first exposure to Superman, and up until this
I'm
point,
sorry.
well, up until this point,
it's my fault.
Go read a comic.
You know, I
Fair.
bought every single Hellboy issue, and I don't even know how to download them on anything. Go ahead.
This might change as I watch more things, better things, but up until this point, my stance on Superman has always been he's unfair. You can't beat him. Like that's
the original
stupid. I
overpowered, yeah.
want some kind of vulnerability.
Yeah, absolutely.
He sucks, which is a take. But
Standard.
there was a very specific moment in this movie where I was like, I get it now. Whenever he's fighting Zod and he rips off part of his mask and Zod starts feeling everything and his senses go off. And then I'm like, oh my God, anyone from that planet could have come to Earth and like had these same powers and the same like reaction. But the difference is Superman and like how he controls them and
Yeah.
like his character, he symbolizes hope. Like it finally clicked for me kind of who Superman was and
Yeah.
what the appeal of Superman.
I love to hear it.
So I look at this movie pretty fondly. Like I enjoyed it. I can't compare it to anything else. So
Superman wise.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So it's a hit for me.
Oh,
For now.
Wow.
For now,
Wow.
until I watch other things,
Yeah.
maybe we'll revisit.
Okay. Carl, I'm interested in your thoughts.
I think it was mid for me. It just kind of felt generic for the most part, like kind of forgettable. Everybody's kind of monotone. They're just all duty bound, so it's not really like everybody in the movie is like either military and they're just all about business. Like there's just no charm. Like the Marvel movies really figured out like a brand voice for each hero, and this one
Yeah.
didn't really. I feel like it found that. I don't know. It just didn't quite make a big impact. So yeah, I think mid.
Okay. Danielle.
I really like the way Carl said all that. It just felt kind of generic. Like it didn't really have much of a voice, and it just kind of ended up being a little gray.
Beige.
And the fight scenes were too long. By like you said, by
way
the
too
end of it,
long.
I was like, okay, like
Long
which-
and not interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of my beef with a lot of superhero movies. As we get more and more and more of them, I feel like they keep having to up the ante, and fight scenes just got so long. Like they just kept getting longer and longer and longer for a while, and I'm not into
I think
that.
the dog's about to leap to her death.
So, anyways, it's a mid for me.
Mid. Okay. I'll go next. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, absolutely.
This movie is a miss for me.
Ooh.
I hated how like when I finished it. I think the more I think on it, the less I like it, and I think that one of the
That's
things
how it goes.
One of the things I viscerally do not like about it is I can feel that one of the intents behind making this movie was to very extremely tonally differentiate it from the MCU. It is not bright. It is not colorful. It is, and I mean, Snyder loves brown 300.
The color grading in this movie grates me.
Now, and big caveat, Carl and I have talked at length about how we don't like the modern MCU color grading because it is too bright and
Yeah.
it's too clean and it is uncinematic. So I'll never be happy.
No.
Is what that means. This movie kind of has a duality for me. I hate it as a movie, but I do think it kind of it warmed me up to Superman as a character a little bit. And I think that's just exposure. I think I've just seen some Superman, so I'm like, okay. Again, that whole Superman Doomsday movie was just such a weird intro to the character. And, I've seen him in Justice League where the episodes I caught, I haven't seen all of Justice League. The episodes I've caught, he's very much just there.
Yeah.
And like him and Batman have the odd, like hilarious quip because they just think so extremely differently. But no, I don't know. I don't think that it's hard because I can't stand Zack Snyder as a person. And like he loves him some him, and I can't stand it. I think that he has delusions of grandeur about his own ability to make a film. I do still like 300. I think the writing was a mess. I think the dialogue was a mess. I think Henry Cavill was okay as Superman, although I, again, don't have much to compare him to. I think that what I'm going to take away from this movie is I'm looking forward to Superman 2025. I wanted to come out of this going, I will watch the other DCEU movies. I think I might watch Batman v Superman because I just want to point at Batfleck and laugh.
That's
because
fair.
he's too, like the things that just visually, I don't think I like Ben Affleck as an actor, but visually the horns are too small.
Oh yeah,
Pisses me off.
hilariously so. They're little
Pisses
nubs. You
me
could
off.
flick them.
Yeah, just don't like him. So this movie is just a big fat whiff for me, and it had something going for it in the first 40 minutes, and then it absolutely crashed and burned, like Superman did on the side of a mountain. So this movie sucks.
Much like a fair bit of trains did.
Yeah,
In Smallville.
this movie sucks and it's bad, and I never want to watch it again. Forrest, hit or miss?
So to preface this, I watched this movie twice for this
Wow.
because
Wow.
I wanted
Sorry.
to. No, this is an intentional decision.
You Carl'd it.
Yeah,
you watch
I did watch it twice too.
yes, sir. So I already have my preset notions about this movie, but I wanted to watch it once just on its own merits, trying to divorce it from the larger
Like DCEU or the larger
Superman mythos, and like what my preferred versions of all these things are. So that was my first watch of it. That on its own merits, I think it's a mid. I think a lot of the stuff that it sets up and talks about and thematically explores, I think it kind of circles back around on those and kind of fulfills itself. But watching it with everything that I feel about these characters, this mythos, the versions of the comics that it is pulling from for this movie, I think it is a massive miss.
Yeah.
I think you can do so much better for a first experience with Superman as like a viewer. Also, just a Superman origin story, you can also make a better one. It's been done 15 million times in the comics and the animated series, and is still happening a few years ago with My Adventures of Superman. It's going to happen probably next year. I have faith in that movie. I'm not going to say it's going to be great.
Yeah.
But I think 2025
As long
is
as
going
it's
to be
better than this.
Yeah, I think it's going to be.
I think we'll take a 6 out of 10 movie.
Yeah.
If it's just better than this. All right. So we got, what, 3 mids and... No, 1 hit, 2 mids, and 2 misses. The full
All over the place.
gamut.
Yeah.
I think as a generality, if you want to watch something involving a DC character, find an animated show and watch that.
Yeah.
Don't watch a...
Watch Young Justice. It's basically like the almost perfect iteration of the DC universe
Isn't
as a whole.
Nightwing in that?
Yeah.
So we got...
Played by
Dick
Jesse
Grayson.
McCartney.
Cool.
Oh,
What?
what?
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God, Jesse
animated.
McCartney?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's holy
still.
crap.
Well,
Voiced
Voice
by-
actor?
with that, we have another movie. We're going to come back and close out Superhero Month with the Across the Spider-Verse film, the sequel to whatever the first one's called, Into the Spider-Verse.
Into.
Yes,
the
sir.
Spider-Verse.
Hey, I don't like how close those titles are. Gives me confusion.
That's fair.
Note, Sony, note that.
Next one is Beyond the Spider-Verse.
Oh.
Stop it. Call it Miles Morales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna watch. Nick has to watch 2 movies because he hasn't seen
I do.
Into, and I didn't want to watch it again because I've seen it 2 times. So, hey, thank Forrest for coming on. Yay, Forrest!
Yay, Forrest.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
it was
you
a blast.
for
Clap, clap, clap,
making this episode. Wow, without him would have just been way less informed.
Thank you for letting me wax poetic about my favorite character of all time.
Yeah, normally I'm happy to flail around a movie and just do like 3 hours of research before the show. Not for Superman. Comic book nerds are way too mad on TikTok. So yeah, we're gonna watch Across the Spider-Verse and close out Superhero Month, and then God knows what we're doing for September, but we're gonna figure it out. So hey, thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next one.